What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of China Update, where I provide you guys with the most up-to-date political, economic, and geostrategic analysis on the world's number 2 economy. My name is Tony. Let's jump in. Okay, happy Thursday, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful day. First up, let's talk about the outbreak situation. Though cases are being discovered in almost a dozen regions, there are 3 major outbreaks that we really need to keep an eye on. The first, number 1, Xi'an, the city of 13 million, famous for the terracotta warriors in the center north of the country, has been under strict lockdown for over 3 weeks now. We know this. The situation there is looking hopeful and seems to be improving. New confirmed COVID cases dropped to 8 in the city yesterday, Wednesday. This is the first time new cases have fallen into single digits since December the 18th. Next up, number 2, Tianjin, a port city of 14 million people, about 2 hours from Beijing, the capital. This city discovered China's first local Omicron cases. The situation there is unstable. It's unclear whether it's improving or worsening. It's not looking particularly good at the moment, though. Thursday, today, Tianjin reported an increase in COVID-19 infections over yesterday. And 3, Henan, a relatively poor northern province with approximately 100 million people. There are several regions in the province experiencing outbreaks. The situation is not good, and it seems to be deteriorating by the day this week. The lockdown areas in Henan were further extended on yesterday, to include Hua, about 70 kilometers from Anyang, which also went into full lockdown this week. By the way, if you want to look up the city, it's Hua, but some English language media is calling it Huaxian, Huaxian, but xian just means county, so it's Hua County or Huaxian. According to the National Health Commission and the State Council, China is moving away from a COVID zero, also known as zero cases, also known as zero tolerance policy, and moving towards what officials are calling a 动态清零 or dynamic clearing policy, which was described by a senior official in the National Health Commission this way, quote, "We do not yet have the ability to prevent local cases from appearing, but we have the ability and confidence to quickly put an end to an epidemic when a local case is found. So this is what we want to emphasize on. It is not the pursuit of zero infections, but the pursuit of eliminating the epidemic as soon as possible." End quote. On this point, respected Washington-based China analyst Bill Bishop observed today, quote, "Dynamic clearing in practice does not look like a significant shift away from COVID zero, especially if local officials are still under pressure to have zero cases in their jurisdictions." End quote. Okay, next up, Kazakhstan, China, and oil. In Monday's video, I said that foreign ministers from several Gulf states were visiting Beijing this week. We discussed that the visit indicates that Beijing is concerned about energy supply security in the wake of the Kazakhstan unrest that we've seen over the last few weeks. We also discussed the energy security environment that Beijing is facing at the moment. Late last year, Indonesia banned thermal coal exports to prioritize its own domestic needs, and Beijing has already had a de facto ban on Australian coal for some time now. So as well as the unrest in Kazakhstan threatening energy supply, there was also Thursday of last week when Uzbekistan, another supplier to the China Central Asian gas pipeline, announced a halt to exports of oil and natural gas to ensure that its own domestic energy needs were met. Yesterday, Wednesday, according to state media, China and the Gulf Cooperation Council issued a joint statement calling for the establishment of a strategic partnership and the implementation of a free trade area. Now, why are these meetings so important for China's energy security? Well, let's look again at what Zhou Chunming, a researcher from a leading military science and technology institute in Beijing, observed this week. Quote, "Kazakhstan is the key energy supplier for Beijing's West-East gas pipeline program in Central Asia. The current political unrest in the country may affect China's future energy supply chain. If any energy crisis happens because the West-East gas pipeline is forced to halt, only the Gulf countries can act as a replacement." End quote. While China has about 200 million barrels of reported strategic petroleum reserves, just over 1/4 of US levels, it is also hugely reliant on oil and gas imports. Okay, next up, there have been several key developments with China's ongoing Evergrande Housing Crisis over the last 24 to 48 hours. Quickly, if you're enjoying the episode, don't forget to hit the like button. It's the only way this video can be shown to new people. And if you're watching this for the first time, you're getting some value from the episode, maybe consider subscribing, hit that bell notification, and you'll have the most up-to-date analysis when I release these every day. Okay, let's move on. Chinese developer Logan Group claims to have made all $3 bond interest payments due this week, though this is still to be verified. Bloomberg reports that Shimao Group may enjoy a stay of execution this week. According to sources of the media outlet, Shimao Group Holdings Limited is set to repay a local bond maturing Saturday after the developer received higher than anticipated cash inflows from property sales in December. Quote, onshore subsidy Shanghai Shimao Co. has set aside funds to repay the 4.65% local bond with outstanding principal of 1.9 billion RMB, approximately $300 million, said the person. End quote. However, ratings firms appear to still be concerned about the long-term ability of Shimao to meet its financial obligations. Yesterday, Fitch downgraded Shimao's long-term issuer default rating to B- from BB, expressing concern with Shimao's, quote, lower margin of safety in preserving liquidity, end quote. Sunac China Holdings, China's third largest developer, is a developer that we've been following since last year. Yesterday, the company offered 390 million shares at 10 Hong Kong dollars apiece in a top-up placement to raise the funds to cover short-term loans and for general corporate purposes. The price represents a discount of 15% on Wednesday prices. However, with the news of the share placement the following day, this morning, Thursday morning, shares in the company fell by as much as 18% in Hong Kong early trading. Sunac may also have more trouble on their hands. Some of their assets were frozen by a Shenzhen-based court this week as part of an ongoing legal dispute. The company is currently trying to reverse the bank's decision. Another developer, China Oceanwide, is also having a bad week. It has received a default notice for a loan valued at $1.28 million. According to a Hong Kong Stock Exchange filing, the default triggers an acceleration clause for full immediate repayment of $165 million. Yesterday, on Wednesday, the People's Bank of China, China's central bank, said that the stock of outstanding credit grew 10.3% in December, a stabilization of credit expansion which we expected and discussed all the way back in November, part of the government's general loosening of real estate restrictions after the Evergrande crisis was first triggered. We also got more poor land sales data this week. This is something that we've been following for a few months now, and could end up being a wild card for this entire crisis, as local governments have a huge incentive to get land sales back up again, which means pumping the real estate market again, if necessary. In a research note yesterday, Wednesday, by Tianfeng Securities Co., analysts expressed that 13 of China's 31 provinces saw revenue from selling land use rights drop more than 20% in 2021. This is from a year earlier. Bloomberg News reports that another 10 had declines of 20% or less, and only 6 provinces, including Beijing and Shanghai, which are classified as provincial-level administrative units, saw revenue from land sales grow. However, this data is misleading. It's actually worse than the data suggests, the situation with land sales and local government revenue. China finance expert at Peking University, Michael Pettis, pointed out today, quote, this doesn't take into account the fact that some provinces resorted to selling land to their own local government financing vehicles in order to meet revenue targets. In that case, they effectively borrowed through their local government financing vehicles but treated the proceeds as if they were revenues. End quote. And last up, and this is very interesting actually, so an outspoken professor at the elite Beijing-based university, Tsinghua University, Professor Yan Xuetong, gave a presentation a few days ago discussing his view of how elite Gen Z students in China, the next generation of leaders, view the world. These are basically his observations on their worldview, generally speaking. Now, this is just one professor's view, one person's view. It's not necessarily an objective fact, obviously, but keep in mind this professor is the dean of the Institute of International Relations at Tsinghua University, one of China's top 2 universities. So some of his students, which he has been observing, will be future diplomats and policymakers in the government. If his observations are accurate, it means the next generation of leaders, particularly in foreign policy in China, may well be more confident, more hawkish, more Sino-centric, and less pragmatic than previous generations. What I'm quoting now is a translation of an article which summarizes Yan Xuetong's presentation from the 8th of January. I've included the link to the article below in the description, although it is in Chinese. This is what he expressed. Quote, Generation Z college students tend to have a strong sense of superiority and self-confidence. They often view other countries with a condescending mentality and view international affairs with a wish list mentality, believing that China can easily achieve its foreign policy goals. They often look at the world as a dichotomy between China and all other foreign countries, regarding the rest of the world outside of China as the same place. They regard universal human values such as peace, morality, fairness, and justice as unique traditions of China. They believe that China is the only just and innocent country in the world. Other countries, especially Western countries, are evil. The Chinese word here can also be translated as vicious. And Westerners have a natural hatred for China. End quote. Hey guys, I'd love to hear what you thought about some of the updates we covered in today's episode, so throw your comments below. Always love hearing from you. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.